When you think of the Olympics, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's that absolute peak of human achievement, right? It's all about global unity, those breathtaking victories, and moments that just stick with you forever. It's truly glorious.
But is that really the whole story? What if I told you there's this whole other side to the games? A secret history packed with unbelievable characters, some pretty shocking scandals, and moments that are just, well, they're so bizarre you'd think they were made up.
So, let's pull back that curtain, shall we? It's time to dive into the strange, the scandalous, and the downright unbelievable Olympic stories that you've probably never heard about. Okay, so first up, let's talk about some unconventional heroes. These are the champions and the underdogs you might not know. The ones who prove that, sometimes the story is way more important than the medal.
Get this. Meet Demetrius Lundris. We're talking the very first modern Olympics, Athens 1896. He competed in team gymnastics and walked away with a bronze medal. The crazy part? He was just 10 years and 218 days old. That makes him the youngest confirmed medalist in Olympic history. I mean, can you imagine? A literal kid on the podium right at the very start of the modern games?
But the youngest champion of all might be someone we don't even know the name of. This is a wild story from the 1900 Paris Games. So there was this Dutch rowing team, right? They're in the final, but their coxswain, the person who steers the boat, was a bit too heavy. So what do? Legend has it they just spotted a random local kid in a crowd, pulled him into the boat, and with this super lightweight kid guiding them, they rowed their way to a gold medal. This boy, thought to be maybe 7 years old, snapped a photo with the team and then just vanished. To this day, nobody knows who he was.
Of course, being an Olympic hero doesn't always mean you have a gold medal or any medal for that matter. Case in point, Eddie the Eagle Edwards. He was Great Britain's first and only Olympic ski jumper back in 1988. And look, he was not great. He was totally outmatched. But his spirit, his pure joy and determination absolutely captured the world's heart. He was so popular, so beloved, that the Olympic Committee actually created the Eddie the Eagle rule specifically to make it harder for people like him to qualify. Yeah, you heard that right. They literally changed the rules because this guy was too inspiring.
And hey, while we're talking about the '88 Calgary Games, you can't forget the Jamaican Bobsled team, right? We all love the movie Cool Runnings, but the real story is, well, pretty different. They weren't disgraced sprinters, they were actually recruited from the Jamaican army. They weren't treated like outcasts at all. In fact, they were super popular, and everyone welcomed them. And that famous chant, "Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme"? Yeah, that was made up for the movie. The real story is just as incredible, just, in a totally different way.
All right, so for every one of those heartwarming underdog stories, there's a flip side, a much darker one. Let's get into what happens when that will to win goes a little too far. When athletes don't just bend the rules, they completely shatter them.
Okay, this one sounds like something out of a spy movie. It's got to be one of the most brazen cheats in Olympic history. We're in Montreal in 1976. Soviet pentathlete Boris Onashenko has a secret weapon for the fencing event. His sword has a hidden button. This little button let him register a point anytime he pressed it without ever having to actually hit his opponent. And he was getting away with it. Until, that is, the British team noticed he was racking up points on clear misses. They examined the sword, found the cheat, and boom, he was disqualified for life.
Now, cheating isn't always about secret buttons. Sometimes it's just about physics. Check this out. At the 1968 Winter Games, the East German women's luge team was just destroying the competition. But after their final run, officials made a pretty shocking discovery. The runners on their sleds were hot. Turns out they were heating them up before the race. A warmer runner means less friction on the ice, which gives you a tiny but a legal speed boost. The whole team got disqualified.
But then you have the kind of rule breaking that goes way beyond clever tricks and into something truly ugly. And of course, we have to talk about the scandal that basically became a global soap opera. Right before the 1994 Winter Olympics, American figure skater Nancy Kerrigan was attacked and injured. It didn't take long for the investigation to point to people connected to her biggest rival, Tonya Harding. The media frenzy was insane, and somehow both of them ended up competing against each other at the Olympics. You can just imagine the tension. In the end, Kerrigan took home the silver.
So you see, the drama isn't just about the athletes themselves. The Olympics have always been more than a game. They've often become a massive world stage, a place where real-world politics and conflicts play out right there in the arena.
And this might be one of the most intense examples ever. It's 1956, the Melbourne Olympics. This is happening just weeks after the Soviet Union violently crushed the Hungarian Revolution. So when Hungary and the Soviet Union face off in a water polo match,
Well, all that political tension just exploded. The game got so violent, with punches being thrown and actual blood in the water, that the refs had to call it off before it was even over. Hungary was winning 4-0, but the match went down in history as the blood in the water match, a powerful symbol of Hungarian resistance. All right, now let's jump forward to the peak of the Cold War. 1980, the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid. The Soviet Union's ice hockey team wasn't just good, they were a powerhouse. A dynasty of state-sponsored pros who had basically owned the sport for decades. And who were they up against? A bunch of American college kids. A young, scrappy team that nobody, and I mean nobody, gave a chance to win.
And then, that final buzzer sounds. The score? 4-3. The college kids beat the Giants. It's still called one of the greatest upsets in the history of sports. But here's the thing. It was so much more than just a hockey game. At that moment in the Cold War, this was a huge symbolic victory for the United States. It was forever cemented in history as the miracle on ice.
Okay, let's wrap this up with a lightning round of facts that are just weird. These are the kinds of stories that make you scratch your head and go, wait, did that actually happen? Imagine this, you're hosting the Winter Olympics, but you have no winter. Seriously, that's exactly what happened in Innsbruck, Austria in 1964. It got super warm, and the mountains were just bare. So what did they do? They called in the Austrian army. Soldiers had to haul 20,000 blocks of ice and 40,000 cubic meters of snow down from the mountaintops just to build the venues. An absolutely massive effort just to save the games.
You know, that whole snow problem back in '64 was really a sign of things to come. The first time they even used artificial snow was in 1980. But you fast forward to the 2022 Beijing Games, they were the first Winter Olympics to run almost 100% on man-made snow. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how much our climate is changing.
And for our last stop, let's go way, way back to where it all started. The original Greek Olympics? Totally different from what we know today. For starters, the athletes competed completely naked. Yup, and married women, they weren't even allowed to watch. The winners didn't get a medal, they got a wreath made of olive leaves. And the whole thing was so important, it was actually a religious festival for the god Zeus that entire wars between city-states would just pause so everyone could participate. So think about that journey for a second. From naked athletes honoring Zeus to modern athletes competing on 100% artificial snow. It really makes you wonder, right? The Olympics have always been a mirror, reflecting our world, the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. It leaves you with one big question. What will the next 2,000 years of Olympic history even look like?